Hello everyone. So in this video I'm going to discuss that how we can calculate the file size of a digital image. So this lecture is for those are preparing for the GATE exam. So almost each and every year a question was coming that, and that is based on that uh, these are the questions. So this is the question of uh, yeah, in the year of 2023. So here asking that to store a 3 band 4-bit images, and the size is 512 into 512. So what is the number of storage bits required? Okay, so almost a similar question was asking in the year of 2022, and in the first year last year, in the year of 2024, a question was made from the digital image processing section that a 4-band multispectral image of size, and that is 64 into 64 pixel, and the 560 header bytes are there, and the pixel depth is given as 2 bytes, and they are asking the total number of bytes. Okay, so the question is that how we can calculate the file size of a digital image if the vertical and horizontal pixel are given. So is there any formula for that? So So for that, to calculating the size of a digital image, basically there are 4 steps are there. So the first step is, uh, at first we can calculate the multiply the detector numbers of horizontal pixel into vertical pixel. So at first we the first step is that we can multiply the values of the horizontal and vertical pixel, and after that whenever we getting the values, the total number of pixel are we getting, and in that time we can multiply these values by the bit depth. Okay, so after multiply the bit depth we can getting the values in the form of bits. Okay, so in the form of bits we can getting the value. So dividing the total number of bits by 8 to getting the values in bytes. Okay, so this is totally based on the how the question is made, or the answer is they needed in the form of bits or in the form of bytes or maybe in the form of kilobytes. Okay, so this is based on the question. So the basic thing is that at first we can multiply the values into the vertical and horizontal pixel, and then we can get the total number of pixel. After getting the total number of pixel we can multiply it in the bit depth. Okay, and after we multiply the values with bit depth we can getting the values in bits. Okay, so this is the smallest unit of the digital unit, storing unit. And if you want to convert it into bit to bytes we can again divide the value by 8. Okay, so why it is 8, I can explain it. So before that, here we can get one word, that is bit depth. So what is basically the bit depth? So basically the bit depth is basically the number of details a image can carry. Okay, so or we can say in each pixel the amount of details are present. So that is basically the bit depth. We can in general, whenever we call that 1-bit image, mean it contain only two values, that is 0 and 1, and whenever we're talking about the 8-bit images it is carried out total 256 values, and the range is between 0 to 255. Okay, so this is the is basically known as the bit depth. So whenever you, if we talk taking an example of the Landsat 8, so in that time we know that the 16-bit geometric resolution means it carried the values ranging from 0 to 655335. Okay, so this is the bit depth, and just focus on that. This is the data measurement chart, and the smallest unit of the digital storage unit, that is this is bit, and 1 bit is equal to basically the single binary digit. It can be 1, it can be 0, and the byte byte is equal to 1 bit. So for 1 byte it is required 8 bit. Okay, so whenever we're talking about that 1 byte, it means it carries 8 bit of data. And whenever you're talking about the kilobytes, so it means 1024 bytes. So that's why in the fourth stage I am talking about here, thus dividing the total number of bits by 8 equal size. So why 8? Because we want to get the values in the form of bytes. Okay, so after we can jump this stage, if they asking the values in kilobytes or megabytes, you have to be complete this stage. At first you can multiply divide by 8, and then you getting the values, and then divide the values by 1024 first time for getting the values in kilobytes, and then divide it 1024 to again the getting the values in megabytes. So the process was going on until the question is asking in the which data measurement unit they needed. It may be GB, it may be MB. Okay, so the if they needed GB, then you can at first multiply the unit by 8 to getting the values in byte, then again divide by 1024. For kilobytes 1024 again divide, then you can getting the values in megabytes, and after that you can again divide the values in 1024 megabyte to getting the values in gigabyte. Okay, so this is the flow chart of the this whole things. So what we can do for calculating the size of a digital image? So at first we can uh, multiply the values, this is the first step, horizontal pixel and vertical pixel. Then we can getting the values, this is the total number of pixel, and after getting the total number of pixel we can multiply it into number of bit depth, and it can be 4 bit, it can be 6 bit, whatever, it can be 16 bit, whatever the values are, this must be given in the question. Okay, so after can multiply with the bit depth, um, we can getting the values in bytes, not bytes, it's bits, total number of bits. So this is the value we can get in the third stage, that is in bits. So after getting the values in bits, if they asking for the file size in bytes, then you can go four stage. Otherwise if they only asking in the bytes bits image, bits storage, so you can stop here. And if they asking the values in bytes, so how much byte it can be required to store a digital image, so for that you can go in the fourth stage. Okay, so this is the whole things. If they needed kilobytes, then again after getting the values in bytes, it divided by 1024. And if they uh, asking for the megabytes, then you can divide it by 1024 again. So this process carried on after uh, the question is if they asking for megabyte, gigabyte or terabyte. So this is the also you can remember the sequence. Okay, so bit, byte, kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, petabyte and exabyte. So maybe if somehow this question can be asked in to arrange it the from smallest to high storage unit, so in that time it can be help us. Okay, so let's take an example of that. So this is the question of the year of 2022. uh, so in this year there is very simple question they are asking in the gate exam, that this is the question. Their number of bytes required. So the question is that this is the 82 number question in the, if you looking into the previous year question. So the question number 82, uh, that this is the number of bytes required to store an 8-bit uncompressed image of size 512 into 512 pixels is. So basically this is the 512 and 512. So in the both direction, they are asking about the same pixel values. Okay, so So in the all direction, in the vertical and also in the horizontal section, they are talking about 512 into 512 pixel. Okay, so they need the values in bytes. They are asking about, they are getting the answer um, in bytes, and we can write it in the integer form. Okay, so how we can calculate? So we know that our first step is, at first we can multiply it into vertical into horizontal pixels. So 512 into 512. Okay, so if we multiply it 512 into 512, so what we can get? So we can getting the value, this is 262144. So this is the value. Okay, so in the second stage we can getting the values. So this is the total number of pixel. So this is the total number of pixel, and if now we convert it into bits, so we can multiply into number of uh, bit depth. So bit depth is basically given 8. Okay, so bit depth is 8. So if they are asking about 6 bit here, so if they mention 6 bit, you can multiply it 6. If they mention 4 bit, you can multiply it into 4. But here the question, in question they giving 8 bit, so we can multiply it into 8. Okay, so if you multiply it into 8, we can getting the values, that is 2097152. So this is basically the total number of bits. So now we can getting the values in the form of bits, but they are asking in the form of bytes. Okay, so if we want to calculate the values into bytes, so what we can do, in the third step we can we know that in the third step I have already mentioned that if we getting the values in total number of bits, and after getting the values in bits, if we convert it into bytes, we can divide it into 8. Okay, so just simple things, we can divide this value by 8, so we can getting the values in 2612144 by 2622144. So this is the answer. So this is the bytes. Okay, so it's a tricky question because they mention here 8. Okay, and 8 bit, and we know that to converting the values from the bit to byte, we also divide it by into 8. So some student may be confused here. Okay, but if they mention instead of 8, if they mention here 6 or 4, so we can also calculate here 6 into multiplied into the value 6, then we can getting the values whatever, we can divide by 8. Okay, so you have to divide the values by number of 8 to getting the values in bytes. So this is the answer for this question. So this is the 2020 question, 2 marks question. Okay, so it is very easy question. So let's take another example, that is the question here mention that number of MB. Okay, so we can need the values to in the form of MB. So the vertical and horizontal pixel are given, and that is 1024 1024 into 1024. Okay, so if we multiply it into 1024 into 1024, what we can get? We can getting the values, that is 104856. Okay, so this is the total number of pixel, and the formula set in the second step we can multiply it into the number of bit. So number of bit here given, bit depth 16, so we can multiply it into 16. Okay, so if you multiply it into 16, we can get in the values 16777 216. So this is the total number of bits. We can getting the values in bits, but they needed in the MB. So we know that we can at first divide it into by 8 to getting the values in bytes. Okay, so we can getting the values. This is 2097152. So this is the value we can get in the form of bytes. So after bytes, we can convert it into kilobytes. But here you have to remember, to getting from going to bytes to kilobytes, you can divide it into 1024. Okay, 1024. And we can getting the values. This is 2048. So this is the KB. Okay, this is the value of KB. But they needed in MB. So after KB, this is kilobytes, it's coming that megabyte. So again we can divide it into 1024. So we can getting the values 2, and this is 2 MB. So the answer will be 2 MB. Okay, so we can calculate your own to validate and write in the comment section that your answer will matched with me or not. Okay, so let's take another example. So this is the question number 69 in the previous year question 2023, and they given here they, actually they trick here some things. So they given 4-bit images and 512 into 512 size image. Okay, without header. So the number of storage bits required. So they are asking the answer in bits. So you have to remember in which format, which form they can ask. Okay, so they need the answer in bits. Okay, so we know that first thing is that 512 into 512. Okay, so if we multiplied it 512 into 512, so we can get 10, sorry, 110 okay, 512 into 512. Okay, okay, so the value is basically 262144. Okay, 262144. So this is the value. So this is the total number of pixel. Okay, and the number of bit is given 4. So we can multiply it into 4. So we can getting the value that is 1048576. So this is the total number of bits. Okay, and they are giving the store 3-band images. Okay, so this is the bits, we can getting the values in bits. Okay, so here answer is given 1048576. So all of you thinking answer C will be the right, but you cannot getting this answer. This is the wrong answer. Okay, because here they mention 3-band images, so that's why you can multiply it into 3. Okay, this is the value you are getting. It is for only 1 band. So for 3-band also, for first band 512 into 512 pixel, they carry the another values. Also 512 into 500 for second band, and also for the third band. So just you can multiply it. Okay, so if you multiply it, you can getting the values of 31. So you can getting the value is 3145728. Okay, so this is the answer will be A. So you have to remember all these things, how many number of bands they can given, number of bits, and so the procedure will be the same for all the question, but you here they trick with 3 bands. So this is the question of in the year of 2023, and there are no more basic calculation because they are asking in the form of bits. If they are asking in the bytes, then you can divide by into 8 to getting the values in bytes. Okay. In the last year, in the 2024, a question was made. So here they mention a 4 band images. Okay, a 4 band images. Okay, so we can calculate it in the, this value can be used in the last of the question calculation. So the image size was given 64 into 64. Okay, and has 560 header bytes. Okay, so 560 header bytes are extra thing we can getting here. So the pixel depth of the image is 2 bytes. The total number of bytes required. Okay, so they are needed the answer in bytes. So our formula is, at first we multiplied into vertical and horizontal pixel. So 64 into 64, 64 into 64, we can getting the values of 4096. And then we know that we can multiply it into bit depth. Okay, so getting the values in number of bits, and the bit depth is given 2. Okay, so we can multiply it into 2, so we can getting the values in 8196. So this is the bits, this is the bits value for one band. How many bands are given? 4 bands. So you can, because how many bands are given? 4. So you can multiply it into 4. Okay, 4. So 3, 2, 7, 6, 8. Okay, and initially extra thing is 560 header bytes are there, so you just adding on it 560. Okay, so you can getting the values 560. So we can getting the values, that is 3328. Okay, so this is the first option will be the correct answer. Okay, so this is the first year question for 1 mark question. Okay, so you have to be remember the basics, you just remember the basic things, the steps for calculating the things. Okay, so this is the question for your own calculation, and after the calculation you can pin your answer in the, or you can comment your answer. So thank you all of you for listening the lectures, and see you in another videos.